I'm so happy we get to talk about peace today because peace is something that tugs at my heartstrings almost continually. And I guess in order to understand peace or talk about it, we have to know what it is, how we get it, how do we keep it. Several years ago, maybe many years ago, my friend Becky and I went for an overnight trip to the Peace Abbey in Massachusetts. We shared many giggles and much valuable conversation. The Peace Abbey that we went to is now closed, but there is one in Szirbik that's worth the trip. I have many stories to tell about that marvelous day, like Emily the cow who escaped the slaughterhouse and found her way to the Peace Abbey. That's a good story. But the one that I'd like to focus on today is about passing the peace. The Abbey where we stayed had a group of special needs children that met there regularly, and Becky and I were invited to join them for their morning gathering. We sat around a table that looks much like this one. I want you to notice the statue in the middle of the table. At that time, I don't remember there being a dove, just a hand. To welcome each other, the children had devised a wonderful way of passing the peace. Each morning, the person who was sitting nearest to the sculpture in the middle of the table would touch their pointer finger to the statue, and then they would pass the peace through their finger to the finger of the person next to them. It went all the way around the table until it came back to the person who started it, and then that person would again touch the statue. Does that sound complicated? Pretend you would touch the beak of the dove with your pointer finger and then pass the touch to the person next to you. I was told later that the little girl sitting next to me was very withdrawn, and they were wondering if she would even be able to pass the peace to me, a stranger. And the whole process was so beautiful, and if you know me, you know that I was already crying by the time the peace reached the little girl and she turned to pass it to me. But she saw my need, and she threw her arms around me, and she gave me the biggest hug that I have ever received in my lifetime. And after that, she pointed her little finger at me in my direction, and I touched my finger to hers, and the chain continued. Seeing someone's need and giving them what you can is what I think peace is. Now, let's read the book, Peace Begins With You, written by Catherine Scholes and illustrated by Robert Ingpen. And I want especially to thank Karen Hagee for loaning us this book, which sets the outline for today's thoughts on peace. Peace Begins With You by Catherine Scholes, illustrated by Robert Ingpen. So, what is peace? Where does it come from? How can you find it? And how can you keep it?
I began a gratitude journal on April 12, 2020. At the beginning of my journal, I had to force myself to find some joy during the pandemic. But as the days and the weeks continued, I did find simple joys that filled my heart. The beauty of the growing flowers, vegetables, and growing grandchildren. The pain of not being able to hug someone was quickly replaced with a smile or twinkling eyes if you had your mask on. The joy of being able to hug family again is indescribable.
Nate says, I feel like all I need are family and friends to share experience and feelings with.
Peace can be quiet time or cuddling with cats or eating something really good like ice cream.
Peace can be attained by celebrating each other, especially our differences.
Peace happens when everyone is treated with dignity and equality, where the whole world remembers each person is created in the image of God, and we, God's own, are called to care for and love our neighbors as ourselves.
Good morning. I'd like to spend just a minute and talk about what did Jesus say about peace. Here's what he said. Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything by prayer with thanksgiving, let your fears and needs be made known to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds. Over the years, Ginny and I have learned that in times of joy or in times of trepidation and fear, like these days with the COVID virus surrounding us and the uncertainty about it all, the best thing to do that we've found is to go back to the words of Jesus that I just shared. And may these fears be overcome through Jesus' words. Thank you.
Hello, thank you to be with me. My name is Blessing Eddington Stole. I live in Zimbabwe and now I'm 18 years old. To most young people or my colleagues, I say, let's learn to be people who has good moral, who has good behaviors. We should be able to control our feelings. We should be able to control our emotions. I know at school we may come at the time where we are not where we misunderstanding. We should try by all means to be calm.
There are some things you need just to stay alive. Food, water, a place to live, clothes to keep warm, help when you are ill or injured. Peace is having the things you need.
People in Zimbabwe need access to things that we take for granted. Food, electricity, clean water, an adequate home to live in, money to go to a doctor when they get sick, or money to pay for their school fees. Often people don't have an adequate home. They don't have a home that has doors and windows or room for the number of people who live there, and so they double up.
I'm a girl aged 16 years. I want to talk about what I need so as to have a good life. Firstly, I need God to review my ways, and I need a good or better education. After having education, I also need a good job so as to take care of myself and my family members.
Then there are things that you want to help make life good. Small things like a cup of hot chocolate on a winter evening, or a walk along an empty beach, or a special place to be alone with your friends.
A happy family, food to eat, and fun things are important.
I would like friends, or people to interact with in some way. I want to be close to people. I want to be able to freely share how I feel and think, and receive honest responses from others. I also would like Ben & Jerry's ice cream and other treats, as well as fruits and veggies.
Julia responded with buttercup, love, family, phone, good grades, air conditioning, washing machine, dryer, shower, dog toys, hairbrush, and computer. Buttercup is the family dog. Tim shared buttercup, comfortable chair, phone, oven, microwave, toaster oven, toaster, comfortable blanket, comfortable socks, and camper.
And big things, like not being afraid, like having the chance to study and learn, like knowing you're loved by family or friends. Peace is being able to have or to hope for and work for at least some of the things you want.
In Zimbabwe, simple things are hard to get. Not just food and the other things I've already mentioned, but if we need any kind of document like a license or permission to clear a shipping container or a birth certificate, or a form from a school or a doctor or a bank, it can take several attempts and it's always a very long wait. It is so frustrating for me, and I lose patience. Then I'm not likely to be smiling, and I'm certainly not very kind or friendly.
I need the Almighty to provide my parents with money for paying my school fees, and supporters from other countries or other people who can just help with, they can help me because we are a lot of children at our home. So at the same time, so my parents couldn't find the money for sending us to school. So for now, I will thank the Almighty who provides everything for us. Thank you.
I have felt alarmed, scared, disturbed, hot, hurt, hostile, shaky, depressed, fearful, confused, and anguished at times when my needs are not met, or when someone is blocking the way to satisfy one of my needs. In those moments, it helps me to realize that no feeling is unmanageable, not a single one.
Everybody is different. They want and need different things in different places at different times in their lives. Peace is being allowed to be different and letting others be different from you.
Peace comes from coming alongside others, many of whom are different than you, to walk in their shoes, to try and understand what the issues are, what the needs are, to listen to the voices of the seekers of peace and the peacemakers, to lift your voice, to speak up, because peace is worth speaking up for.
Encourage my colleagues to share what we have, like we want to play game. Let's call those people who most people do not play with. This shows that we are at a school where everyone is free to talk to someone or to share with someone what you have, to share ideas. That's very important. When you don't, let's say you are good at maths, then assist others. Then God will bless you, will add some more blessings on you, and you will be a great man in life or a great woman in life.
Living with others means you can't always have what you need or want, when, where, or exactly how you would like it. It means that sometimes your feelings of peace will be interrupted, in a small way or in a big way. Some people have tried to live all by themselves so that their peace would be complete, but often it doesn't work. They feel lonely, and loneliness is not a peaceful feeling.
Peace thrives in and through true community, where all people are able to offer their gifts to God and the greater good.
If we can learn to recognize, to notice, and cherish or appreciate differences between us and others, we will be more supportive of each other.
So what can be done when people's needs or wants don't seem to fit together? There can be arguments, angry words, silences, or even fighting. It can go on for a long time or a short time, until one side wins and the other loses, until one gets what they want or need and the other gives up. When this happens, peace is interrupted. But something completely different can happen. There can be another kind of an argument, one where both sides explain what they need or want and why, where they listen to one another, where they work together to solve the problem so that both sides can have what they need or want, or at least some of it.
I had a friend that was mean to me and others. I tried to be nice and tried to make her to be nice back. She just couldn't help but to be mean. So we're not friends anymore.
Peace is hard to see sometimes. There's a lot going on around and I think it's hard to look for. I'm not nice to my sister all the time and she is not nice to me all the time. When we fight, it makes everyone loud and mad around us. And COVID-19 makes everyone unhappy.
Sometimes other people outside the problem can help this to happen. They can say if someone is being unfair or breaking the rules of an argument. They can suggest ways of solving the problem so that peace is not interrupted. And sometimes, between two different paths can be brought together, a third way can be found. One that is different from what was first needed or wanted, but that is good for both sides. The third way may even be a better way for everybody. Conflict can be the beginning of something new and good.
Julia says, when friends can't agree, I just talk to each one separately and try to get them to agree, or at least stop arguing. Tim follows up with, allow them to take their time when they are angry. When they are sad, give them as much space as they need.
But what happens when no third way can be found? When people have talked, listened, thought, and still their needs or wants just can't be fitted together. There are still choices that can be made. The two sides could agree to move apart so that neither gets what they first wanted, or they could make a deal involving other things that both need or want.
Peace is about the collective, the big universal family, the whole people of God, all people having enough to live lives of health and wholeness so that everyone can thrive.
There are always choices that can be made. Some choices threaten peace, some choices protect it. Every day people make choices about peace, at home, at school, at work. Their choices affect others as well as themselves.
Julia says, think before you speak. Pay attention to others. Treat others how you want to be treated.
Actually, if you want to make someone nicer or kinder at school, you should be exemplary. When we're saying that someone should be exemplary, it literally means that you should be leading by example to other students by, let's say, sweeping in the classroom, rubbing the chalkboard, then just greeting people, your elders at most, and talking with people in a friendly manner. Thank you.
Or even to give positive feedbacks when someone is making a presentation in the classroom. This gives or builds a confidence within that very person who is giving or making the feedbacks.
The same kinds of choices are made when there are problems between one country and another. Some choices lead, in the end, to war. But through people talking, listening, and working things out together, peace can be protected. It's not always easy. It takes two to work together, but it also takes two to fight. And often, it only takes one to begin the first step toward a peaceful solution. Working for peace may be harder than using force. You may have to be braver and stronger. You may have to learn new skills, new ways of thinking and planning.
Peace does not come from building walls, or hoarding stuff, or threatening violence to get stuff, or hurting someone, or shooting guns, or sending bombs so that I have enough. Because I do have enough. Because violence begets violence.
Peace has a ripple effect. It must begin within your soul, an inner acceptance of who you are and trust that God has a plan for you. When you are at peace, it can spread to your family, and then to your friends and co-workers, then spread to others as it spreads to the wider world.
But when you consider how much pain is caused by the breaking of peace in families, neighborhoods, and countries all over the world and all through time, it has to be worth it. Peace has to be a better way.
Peace is the Lord's thing, so it's my thing, and then it becomes our thing because it's the right and faithful thing. And we follow the Lord.
Some people think only about having peace for themselves. They don't care what others need or want. They try to stay inside their own peaceful place and keep everyone else's problems outside it. They might get away with this for a little or even a long while. But in the end, the only hope of lasting peace in our homes, our communities, and all the countries of the world is a peace that is real for everyone. This can only begin to happen when more people work toward making sure others have the things they need, and at least some of the things they want, when more people work toward making sure everyone is treated fairly.
Tim shares, "We do our best to be as nice as we can to each other, but when we aren't, we always work on it." An account by Martha Jo, Tim and Julia's mom. Paraphrased. Immediately after the kids gave these responses, I looked out the window and saw the kids watering the neighbor's garden. I also saw Tim chasing Julia with the water hose.
All through history, there have been many peacemakers, people who have worked for peace by trying to make life better for others. They have worked to have laws changed and things shared more fairly so that everyone, whoever and wherever they are, can have the chance of a good life. Being a peacemaker often means saying no. It may mean starting a conflict, because if you believe something is wrong or unfair, you may have to speak up and you may have to act. But there are many different ways to speak and act, and some are more likely to bring change with peace than others. Our world is full of change. Ideas and beliefs change, ways of living changes, the natural world itself changes in our lifetimes and across the whole chapters of history, and our ideas about what we need and especially what we want change as well. To keep up with these changes, we have invented new ways of finding and using more and more of what our planet can give us. Often this causes conflict between the needs of plants and animals and the needs or wants of people. And too often, it's people who have their way. But all living things are part of one giant web of life, and in the end, they all depend on one another. So when we think about the future, we must think about living in peace with the land. Peace is not a gap between times of fighting, or a space where nothing is happening. Peace is something that lives, grows, spreads, and needs to be looked after.
Jesus said, "Blessed are the peacemakers, and peace be with you." Peace.